Now to the second semi-final in Brighton. And after an even first half with Helsinki leading 22-20, the Roosters' running game really began to pay dividends as Jussi Arantola carries for this 17-yard gain. 3 plays later, the ball was carried the final yard by Mike Kane. And Helsinki have a 28-20 lead in the third quarter. Milan bounced back 3 minutes later with Bobby Frasco connecting with Sonati for a 37-yard touchdown. But in the fourth quarter, Ari Tuli carries Helsinki into the end zone on a first and goal. Tapio Akila adds the extra point to give Helsinki a 35-26 lead. But the game wasn't over. Milan once again coming back when Giovanni Principi carries for 3 yards. But the extra point wasn't enough to close the gap. The final score, Helsinki 35, Milan 33. The celebration justifiably long and emotional.
You run the ball a lot, but they were never ready for it.
We run the ball because we don't have the American quarterback and the American receiver, so we do what we have to do, and we've got some good linemen and a lot of running backs, so we just utilize, get in tight and play old-fashioned football and try to keep ball control.
Have you seen Amsterdam? Will you alter your tactics at all there? They obviously will be ready for a running game.
No, that's what we're going to play, the same thing. We've done it all year, and that's all we've got. We can't do much more than that. We can throw if we have to, but I hated to start throwing the ball around there, you know, with the lead, so we just kept running the ball, and fortunately we were able to.
And even when the Italians were coming back at you, they've seen a very pumped-up side.
Yeah, the kids did real super. They worked hard all week, and you know, and we roomed with the Italians, and the Italians were a little boisterous, and you know, our guys wanted the game real bad.
The Helsinki Roosters were formed by a group of enthusiasts and some US exchange students as one of Finland's 7 charter teams. Now back then, the only equipment they had was ice hockey gear. But by 1982, the Roosters had learned enough to become Finnish champions in the Maple Bowl. Nowadays, they're dominating Finland's league with a brand of power football that's proved unstoppable throughout Europe. It's a college style of play that they picked up on a trip to Michigan State University in 1985. And they must have learned some lessons well, because the perfection of their running attack has won them consecutive Maple Bowls in 86 and 87 and also made them favourites for this year's Finnish Championship. The key man behind the Russian game is number 9, Mike Kane, All-American running back, who clocked up 1,523 yards in just 9 games this season. Joining him in the backfield is Finland's all-time leading rusher, number 34, Ari Tuli. This year, Ari shook off a hand injury to run for 1,420 yards in his 8th season for the Helsinki Roosters. So the Amsterdam Crusaders, veterans of 2 remarkable comeback victories in the quarterfinals and semi-finals of this year's 1988 Eurobowl, preparing to receive the kick from the Helsinki Roosters.
Today a rather bright and sunny day, which might affect some of the line play that's going on. The Helsinki Roosters are quite a bit bigger and stronger than the Amsterdam Crusaders, and it's whether or not this heat is going to have a factor. 3 hours in the sun with a helmet and shoulder pads can make quite a bit of difference. The first couple of plays will set the tone of the game. It'll be the might and power of Helsinki versus the speed and finesse of Amsterdam. Looking forward to this game.
It'll be number 6 to kick for the Helsinki Roosters. He is Tapio Heikkila. And the kick bounces down about the 20-yard line. It's taken by number 20. Taken back up to the 25-yard line, where he's met up by a whole host of Rooster special teams. That was Yusuf. So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Amsterdam Crusaders on the 36-yard line. They're a team that doesn't like to score early. They like to see what the opposing team will do, and then they'll come back with a late rush in the last minutes of the game that will leave the spectators breathless and leave the Crusaders as victors. But both teams have come here to win, to walk out of here Amsterdam Crusaders, to walk out of here the Eurobowl champions. But only one team, of course, can be the victors. It's Paul Trost with the snap. He fakes the hand off to Ricky Ramshaw. It's a long bomb downfield. Well, it's interesting that the first offensive play for the Amsterdam Crusaders in the semi-final against the Berlin Eagles was the very same pass as that. It was intended for Mark Schrader. Lars?
Well, I think Paul Trost is just testing out the defense. He found a lot of luck when he was doing this against Berlin teams, and now he's just testing out the safeties. He's reading the defense to see how they will react.
That play broken up by Jacoletto, the cornerback of the Helsinki Roosters. Incompletion leaves the Amsterdam Crusaders with 10 yards still to go, and now they're 2nd down, just past the 35-yard line. Ricky Ramshahai alone in the backfield. The pitch out was to him, but he makes it just to the line of scrimmage and no further. Harry Calto, one of the Finnish defensive line, coming in with a stop there. And a gain of 2 yards for the Crusaders. It'll be 3rd down and 8.
They're trying to stretch. The Amsterdam team is trying to get around the outside. I think they were looking for the outside just then, but the block wasn't sufficient, and they had to come back inside for no gain.
The Portrush lined up under the center to receive the snap again. He's going to go for the pass this time. And this time it spins out of the hands of number 8, Rob Kimmel. So the aerial attack that served the Crusaders so well through the qualifying games for this final comes up a little short for them now.
I think you'll find that this is what they're going to have to do. They've come out, they've thrown 2 and run 1. They're going to have to keep the ball in the air. I know they really don't want their defense on the field too often against this hot day against a very strong team, so they're going to want to run that ball a little bit more than they've tried.
Well, 4th down now, and the Crusaders lined up to take the punt. Portrush getting the ball high there, and it's number 31, Ricardo Zimmerman, who's chasing it upfield, but it goes out of bounds at the 17-yard line of the Roosters. Mike Kane, Portrush, a tremendously versatile player. He punts, he quarterbacks. He's also, according to assistant coach Johnny Johnson, the premier leader of men he's worked with in 40 years of coaching. That's Ricardo Zimmerman, number 31, and he's had impressive statistics in this tournament. He's blocked 2 punts in 2 games, and both of those plays have been big game-breaking defensive plays. 1st and 10 now for the Roosters. Mike Kane, you'll be seeing a lot of him running out of the backfield this afternoon. He makes a gain of about 2 yards. It's taken upfield to the 18-yard line.
That's very nice penetration by number 51. He cut across the line, caught the man by his heels in the background. For those of you who haven't seen this formation before, it's called a double wing, but don't worry so much where they line up. Worry very much where the men start when the ball is snapped, and it looks much more familiar then.
2nd and 9 for the Roosters. Well, there you see the misdirection play that the Roosters love to play. In on the stop was Ricardo Zimmerman, number 31, the cornerback for the Crusaders. He's a big defensive player, as we mentioned, for the Amsterdam Crusaders, and it's going to need big defensive plays against the Roosters. One of the things they love to do is fake the handoff. The opposing team knows they're going to run, they just don't know who they're going to use to move the ball upfield. And as a result, the Roosters love to swap the ball around. They fake the handoff to one running back, they hand it off to another, maybe sometimes they even fake the handoff after the ball's already gone. 19-yard line of the Roosters, it's 3rd and 9. Finland's leading running back, Ari Tuli, making the play there. The stop was by number 32. And that is Menno Gibson, the strong safety of the Cruise. Both teams having a little difficulty making the big breaks here on their first drives. They're probably a little nervous, trying to find their feet against the opposition. The Roosters now with the ball on the 22-yard line. That's number 33, Rauno Laakso, cornerback, coming in on the stop on number 21.
I think you'll find, James, kind of interesting, that's only the second time the Helsinki team has had to punt. That's the only second time in this entire tournament that they could not move the ball when they wanted to. Maybe we're seeing a new Dutch resistance to the Helsinki Roosters. There is a flag down, though.
We're waiting for the official's call on that. There you saw number 33, Rauno Laakso, wrestling down number 21 to the ground. That's Kim Tanglisson.
Quite often when it's back there, it could be roughing the kicker, but we'll have to see exactly what the official's calling.
It's a clipping call. A late hit on the receiver caught against the Helsinki Roosters.
We have a clip against the red, personal foul against the white, replay the down.
So both penalties cancelling each other's out. The Roosters were called for late hitting on the receiver. The Crusaders had already been called for clipping on the play. That's a hit on the back of the leg, an illegal tackle. And as a result, the down will be replayed. So 4th and 6.
It's just all redo it. I think this time when they have that kicker and they let him go, they have to be seen to make an effort not to hit the man after he kicks. You cannot just run into him. If you're seen, if the referee sees that you're trying not to hit the kicker, he will not call a penalty. But if you don't make an effort to avoid him, he will give you a 15-yard penalty each time. They have to be a little more careful after the ball gets in the air.
Right, the ball on the 23-yard line. It's Kari Kettinen, the Finnish quarterback, behind the center, ready to take the snap. Again, it's Kim Tanglisson trying to make the return. But that's the Finnish special team showing you their quality. They got right down there, stopped him before he could make any ground from his original line of reception. And the ball taken down on the 42-yard line. Bill Dwackwish, who's an American linebacker, one of the two American players with the Roosters, coming in to make the stop and pin the Crusaders down on their own 37-yard line.
I think he lost that little moment that he had bouncing the ball off his chest, allowed the defense to get to him a little bit quicker. So he lost that little bit of step he might have had he caught the ball cleanly.
1st and 10 at the 37. Well, you saw that as well as I did. That was the Crusaders offensive line getting off the mark a little too quickly. That was John Willems, the left tackle from the Cruise offensive line. And the officials move the ball back downfield 5 yards.
Against the offense.
We used to call that introducing yourself to the other man. In the early part of the game, you want to make sure he knows that you're there. And he has just introduced himself, folks.
I think he was breaking the ice a little too early there, Lance. As a result, it's a 1st and 15 now for the Amsterdam Crusaders. Well, there you see it. Helsinki are a very disciplined team. In 2 games so far in the Eurobowl, they've given up a total of 70 yards, just 45 yards in the semi-finals. And that is almost half in one game what the Amsterdam Crusaders will give up. 153 yards you saw they gave up in the semi-finals. This is Ricky Ramshahar making the reception out of the backfield. He's not just a great rusher, he can also make those catches. Alwyn Rue, the quarterback for the Helsinki Roosters, coming in on the stop, but that zone coverage allowed the Crusaders to move the ball upfield with a short pass.
Well, if you notice, Ricky Ramshahar not only runs, but he catches. I would also point out that he is a heck of a karate man, almost representing his country at the World Finals before a shoulder injury. So if he tackles it, if he catches it, you might tackle him cleanly, please.
That's true for Ramshahar. He breaks around the right-hand side of the line, and he's stopped quickly.
but they are beginning to move the ball on the ground now. And I think we've just seen our first down. They've moved the ball, as opposed to passing it, they've run around the outside, making the Helsinki Roosters pay attention to the running game.
That was Juha Liades on the stop on Ricky Ramsahai. So the Crusaders moving the ball upfield. They've got a first down now. The ball lies inside the Roosters' half. It'll be the 47-yard line.
Yeah, boy.
Looks like this is intended for Schrader, and indeed it is. He goes down at the 33-yard line of the Roosters. That's his first reception of the day. He's a big play man for the Amsterdam Crusaders. They don't always go to him. They like to save him for their clutch receiver.
I think that the Helsinki team is going to have to watch this play quite a bit. As they go back to prevent the deep pass, they're going to throw under the zone, looking for Schrader quite a bit. That was very successful against the Ravens and is proving successful again today.
Again, it was the American Bill Jackrish coming in on the stop, and he's going to have a busy afternoon trying to close down the Amsterdam pass, which they love to go to. Grove passing again. Intended for Rob Kimman, but the defensive back, Jacko Leto, coming in there on the stop, the cornerback who, again, will see a lot of action today because the Crusaders love to go to the pass. Helsinki Roosters, as you know, are a big running team. There's Jacko Leto. He's a cornerback. He's made some big stops in the semi and quarterfinals so far in this tournament. A vital defensive player for the Helsinki Roosters. But the ball's moving upfield all the time for the Crusaders. They now got it up to the 39-yard line of the Roosters. Well, that's the familiar figure of Fortrose stepping back for the pass. And again, it's intended for Rob Kimman. He looks a little upset that he missed that, but he was drawing double coverage. Obviously, the Helsinki Roosters have seen his statistics. He's been a very productive receiver for the Amsterdam Crusaders. They have the same kind of problem as the Roosters. Teams know what they like to do. They know they like to go to the pass, and they try and double team their receivers. As you see, the Crusaders come back to the line of scrimmage. The ball at the 39-yard line. It's a 3rd and 10.
Well, he's going to have to go to the air on this. He's thrown all of his passes to the left or the middle. He might just try and probe the right side for a change.
You're absolutely right. He dumps it off. Intended for Kim Tanglissen. But the pass is incomplete. 3rd and 10 becomes 4th and 10. I think we're going to have to see the Crusaders punting team come on here.
You're absolutely right. I think you'll find that each time he's looking downfield. There's a basic rule of quarterbacking that says you always look for the touchdown. So when he's throwing those shorter passes, it's because he's looked downfield. There's nothing there for him, and so he's looking to get rid of the ball. That means those cornerbacks are doing their job for Helsinki.
Well, surprisingly enough, on a 4th and 10, the Crusaders are not showing the punt. It's Troth again to pass. Well, Kim Tanglissen had some trouble getting through to the spot the ball was headed for. He bumped into the defensive secondary, but that can't be called for offensive interference because it just wasn't intentional.
Well, if we can see it on the replay, once that ball is in the air, everybody is eligible to catch it. And unless that man, number 42, made a definite move to impede him, it's everybody's free ball. If you run into somebody, that's just called traffic and no penalty.
Ricky Ramsahai here with a bit of massage on the Dutch sideline. It looks as though he's a little hurt. Obviously took a hard hit in the backfield as the Finnish Helsinki Roosters get ready for a 1st and 10. Ball goes back to Ari Tuli. But the Crusaders proving tougher on the defensive line than many people suspected. Tuli, Finland's leading rushing back, is stopped about a yard past the line of scrimmage. Jinder Ramsahai, who is the defensive captain for the Crusaders, making the stop there. He's described by his fellow players as an animal. They mean that as a compliment because he's a man who loves the hit, he loves to come in hard, and he really loves to stop running backs more than anything else, no matter how much they hurt him when they go down to the ground. Ball's now on the 36-yard line. It's a 2nd and 8 for the Roosters. Well, a whole wedge of Crusaders descending on the unfortunate Helsinki Roosters carrying the ball. Frank Piersma, the linebacker number 54 of the Crusaders, was the man making the stop.
If you watch these pulling linemen, everybody's coming over from the right side of the line, swinging over to the left side. The last time I saw that was when the Washington Redskins used it so successfully in the Super Bowl. They pull both the guard and the tackle and run to the opposite side of the field, clearing the way for a running back. We'll have to see if this intricate blocking will work against what seems to be a rather surprisingly strong Dutch team.
Mike Kane with the carry on that play. And this time, it's Kimmo Kartanen who will take the ball. Frank Piersma again, coming in for the second time in a row on the stop. There's Mike Kane, number 11 is Kimmo Kartanen, the Dutch, the Finnish quarterback. He, in fact, is ranked 3rd on the all-time passing list in Finland, but he's not a man who likes to go to the pass terribly much. It's just he's been playing so long, 8 seasons now.
Well, the Dutch team must be feeling rather good about themselves. They've stopped this team twice, which is more than anybody else has done in the tournament.
Well, the punt goes downfield, bouncing again towards Kim Tenglisson. Finally going down just past the 10-yard line, where number 33, Rauno Laakso, touches it down for the Roosters. So back to the Amsterdam Crusaders for their offensive team. 6.5 minutes to go here in the first quarter. The competition being played to European rules, which means that there are 4 12-minute quarters in the game. And also a couple of other rules which are played under the NCAA rules, which is what the Europeans play. After a touchdown, a team is eligible to go for 2 points after the touchdown by running or passing the ball into the end zone instead of going for the kick. Troth hands it off to Kim Tenglisson. What a great burst. He ran out the right-hand side of the line of scrimmage, evaded the first series of tackles, and took it out to about the 20-yard line.
I think you'll find that that play was to go off guard. You can see him coming in. He looks inside. There's no place to go, and he starts bouncing to the outside, and he bounces out yet again. He made an extra 7 yards just by going to the outside. Now, the Helsinki Roosters are a well-drilled team. They know you don't let a man get to the outside. Force him back to the inside where you got some fellow help.
2nd and 3 for the Crusaders. And off is to Tenglisson again, but this time the Roosters are ready for him. He's trying to take the middle of the line as he's opening, but there was no space there. They see Jan Malki on the sideline. As the Crusaders move upfield for a first down.
It's interesting that Paul Troth, the quarterback, didn't try something on 2nd down because he had, in effect, 2nd down and 1. That's normally a time you might try an experiment, but apparently because he's in his own 20, he didn't want to take any risk, just move the ball forward.
It's a 1st and 10 at the 19-yard line for the Crusaders. As Rob Kimmen splits out to the right-hand side of the line and Kim Tenglisson moves out to the left. Indeed, Troth gets aerial. Ball intended for Tenglisson, he receives it. The ball is taken down at the 35-yard line. Great reception with coverage from Jacko Leto. Kim Tenglisson just shrugged that off to bring the ball into his chest and move the Crusaders upfield for another first down.
That was a delightful play, as good as you'll see on any college campus in America. Quarterback drops back, finds his receiver just in front of a man who's playing the defense as well as you can play it. A superb catch. You won't see anything better than that anywhere.
And the pass just getting off before the Finnish pass rush got to Paul Troth, number 15, the Amsterdam quarterback. Ball now on the 35-yard line for the Amsterdam Crusaders. Ronald Roysplant with a big strike up the middle. He took 4 Helsinki Roosters to bring him down. The man making the big stop at the start was number 42, Mika Lidman. But a great play there by Roysplant. Not a big runner. He's only 5'11". He took the ball up to the 46-yard.
I'm sorry, James, if you see him when he comes up, he runs a little bit high with his head up, but he's an intelligent runner. He didn't use his speed until he got through the line. A good run on his part. He picked his hole well.
Well, it's another 1st and 10 for the Crusaders, who are making a habit of this. Troth calling the play to his backfield. And Kim Tanglisten splits left, and Mark Schrader, the tight end, splits right. Tanglisten moving back in now. And it's Tanglisten again with the reception. Tanglisten's great because he makes a couple of yards after the pass then. He knew enough to get to the sideline before Yakoleta could push him out, and that takes the ball upfield.
I think you may have had more than just took him out of scrimmage. Normally when you see a flag go down past there, you'll see him throwing the ball to the back. You see the man going out of scrimmage. Do we have a late hit? I think that's what they're calling. You're not supposed to hit the man once he's out of the play. I think you'll find that's 15 yards against Helsinki, something that will not please their coach. They're playing a fine defensive game. You don't want to give up free 15-yard penalties.
Yakoleta a little over-enthusiastic on the defensive coverage there.
Personal foul against the defense, late hit out of bounds.
So a late hit out of bounds called against Yakoleta. The ball now moved back to the 34-yard line of the Helsinki Roosters.
Here he comes, here he comes. Now he's out of there, and they put the extra hit in. And again, as I mentioned earlier, there was no attempt made not to hit the man. They could have pulled up, they could have raised their hands, they could have turned away from him. Instead, they went into him. Referees are very aware of preventing injuries. One of the ways of doing that is to stop anything that could be construed as a late hit. So they will not do that, and it's good refereeing.
Meanwhile, the Helsinki Roosters have called a timeout. Their defense is being stretched here by the Crusaders and their passing attack. They've been moved back down the field to their own 34-yard line.
3 minutes and 1 second left in the first quarter.
And there you hear 3 minutes and 1 second left in the first quarter. Still no score here in the final of the Eurobowl 88, the match that decides the champion team of European American football. And what a surprise to see these two teams here. A lot of people thought the Crusaders wouldn't make it past the first round where they met the mighty London Ravens, but it was the Ravens who took the defeat. The Crusaders went on to beat, in the last couple of minutes, the Berlin Adler, the Berlin Eagles in English that is, by 1 point. They're now facing Finns. A lot of people thought the Finns would walk all over the Crusaders because they're that much bigger, but so far these Crusaders are looking the team that are better equipped to push the ball upfield. Troth going to the pass again, just a little overthrown. Kai Oi on the coverage for Helsinki, the pass intended for Winston Runde, the man who incidentally calls the defensive plays for the Crusaders. He went out to Whittier College in California a couple of years back, picked up a lot of coaching tips, and is now, as we say, the only European coach in the tournament. He plays on offense as wide receiver. He was Paul Troth's intended receiver on that pass, but he couldn't get out into the end zone to be on the other end of the ball. 2nd and 10 for the Crusaders. Out goes Rob Kimmon on the left-hand side of the line, and it's Kim Tanglisten on the right. But the Crusaders decide to run. Ronald Roosblack. He takes 2 tackles before coming down. Juha Liades making the stop.
It's a little indication again of the running game. Everybody expected the pass. Boom, right off tackle. A step to the outside. Another very good gain. It's something Helsinki is going to have to put a little more men on that line to stop number 20 from bursting through each time.
So the Crusaders have the ball on the Roosters' 22-yard line. It's a 1st and 10. They're coming up to the line of scrimmage. Same formation as before.
I think you'll find he took a little bit too much time on that formation. That formation is what we call a full house, when you get everybody back there, and then they start from that. Then they move everybody out.
5-yard penalty.
And they did, I'm afraid, use a little bit too much time in between plays, cost them 5 yards. They have to come out of the huddle a little bit quicker if they're going to use motion plays.
Well, the Crusaders see the ball move back to the 27-yard line of the Roosters. They had a 1st and 10. It's moved back now to a 1st and 15. Fakes the handoff, goes for the play-action pass. Watch Troth get the ball downfield. So nearly the interception there for number 42, Mika Lidman. Crusaders going for the pass again, looking for the score on that play, but Mika Lidman came in to get the ball away. He could have made the interception, but at least the deflection means that there's no gain for the Crusaders.
Well, that was just a great defensive play. He can see the quarterback rolling. He rolled with him. He stepped in front of the defender and knocked the ball down. He was very lucky to get away with that it didn't go through his hands for a touchdown, but he played that as well as any defender can play a pass.
Still no game for the Crusaders. They're back on the 27-yard line of the Roosters. And a double backfield with Roosblad. As Troth goes to the pass, again it's incomplete. So the air attack of the Crusaders, which looked so effective in their first drive, starting to dry up a little now. The coverage of the Finnish secondary really taking its toll on the receivers of the Crusaders.
I think you'll find that a little bit of that down to the rush at the Helsinki line. Paul's getting a little less time than he had earlier, so he's throwing the ball a little bit quicker, trying to force some of those passes. His receivers aren't necessarily open. He's trying to make things happen right now.
So the ball's still on the 27-yard line. Third down now for the Crusaders. They come all the way upfield from their own 20-yard line, and they're desperate to convert this drive into a score as Troth goes back for the pass. Center receiver Mark Schrader, but it's knocked out of his hands. A great play by Mika Lidman.
Well, again, he's dropping back. He gets a little bit more time. He waits, he throws. And here comes Lidman right across, knocks the ball down. Double coverage out there with Roth looking for his favorite receiver, but he was well covered yet again.
You see the pass rush that you're talking about there, Lance. Ari Kauto coming in just too late to make the sack on Paul Troth.
Well, I can promise you Paul Troth is aware of him coming in, because out of the corner of your eye, you see that little flash, and you know he's got the wrong color jersey. He knows he's there.
So the Crusaders' drive has dried up here on the 27-yard line. Jaco Dix in to make the kick, hoping for 3 points and a field goal. And it drops just short. Not quite enough power in that kick from Jaco Dix, who plays both defensive lineman and kicker. He can't make the 3 points for the Crusaders. Their offense goes off the field. Still no score here in the first quarter of the Daily Mail Eurobowl 88 final.
He gets it just there. He gets nice height, and it drops just in front of the bar, which serves warning on everybody that, yes, he can kick.
Roosters back on offense. That's Mike Kane. Great stop by Ricardo Zimmerman. Ricardo Zimmerman's a cornerback, but he comes up onto the line of scrimmage to make early tackles on the running backs of the Roosters. Mike Kane, as we said, clocked up 1,523 yards in the Finnish League this season, but finding them going a little more difficult here against the Dutch champions. Second and 9 now for the Helsinki Roosters. The ball is on the 27-yard line. Well, there you see the misdirection. The ball went to Kimmo Livonen, and Ricardo Zimmerman again making the stop. Beg your pardon, number 20 is Jussi Rantola, a running back who gets a lot of plays from the play callers of Helsinki.
All right, if you notice there, he gives it to him and does the fake around the outside, but number 20 was given the ball at scrimmage. Now that's a play that you can either give the first dive man or you can give the swing man who's the trailing back. On that case, they gave it to the first man into scrimmage.
3rd and 3 now for the Helsinki Roosters. Ari Tuli receives a fake, not the handoff, and it's Kari Kettunen who runs the ball. He's taken upfield, taken down by Matt Roy, the defensive tackle of the Amsterdam Crusaders. But no matter who carries the ball, it moves upfield. It's the 33-yard line now. It's not enough for the first down, so the Roosters find themselves 4 yards still to go on their 4th down with a punt formation in on the field. Well, that was a bad snap for Tapio Heikkilä. Ball intended for number 34, Rufus van Gogh, the running back. The ball just bounced to the ground and the Roosters just left it there. The ball goes down to the 14-yard line.
When you go back as a kicker and the ball makes you move like that, you lose your protection because you're no longer considered a kicker. Once your feet move, you're considered a runner. In order not to get hit, you have to stop and reestablish yourself as a kicker. Otherwise, you are allowed no protection whatsoever. He won't want to see any more swings like that. He'll want a pass coming straight back to him.
Well, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. You see here the closing seconds of the first quarter of the Daily Mail Eurobowl 88. And the score is still 0-0. Welcome back to the National Sports Centre at Crystal Palace, London, England. It's the Helsinki Roosters versus the Amsterdam Crusaders. As you see, there's no score yet, but the Crusaders on a 1st and 10. The handoff was to 21, Kim Tanglison, the stop by Koi Koisti, the defensive tackle of the Roosters. So far, neither team has managed to convert their drives into scores, and unusually, the Finns have found that their rushing attack isn't enough to make the ball go into the end zone. The Crusaders have found a way to stop that rush in a way that the Italian champions and the Swiss champions have not been able to. Out goes Mark Schrader on the right-hand side of the line.
Unfortunately, we saw yet another delay of game penalty. The quarterback, Paul Trough, calls most of his signals at the line of scrimmage, and depending upon what the Helsinki defense does, he counter-changes it. And I think you saw an example of it there, where he called one particular play when he saw the defense they were in. Helsinki began running around to cover it. He changed his signal, unfortunately ran out of time before he got the ball off scrimmage.
Ball moves back to the 21-yard line of the Crusaders. As again you see Mark Schrader moving out on the right-hand side of the line. Play action pass, he dumps it off to Kim Tanglison, but it bounces off his helmet. Well, that'll be incomplete for the Crusaders, and Kim Tanglison is not happy about that. The incompletion leaves the Crusaders still with 13 yards to go for the first down.
Well, I think Kim shouldn't be too happy with that. He drove back, the pass was fine. We have an expression where I hear feet coming, and that means I think there's somebody going to hit me. And I think Kim was thinking a little bit more about the hit than getting the ball. First job, catch the ball. Second job, look for the hit.
Paul Troth marshalling his troops back to the line of scrimmage. They're now on a 3rd down. 12 yards to go. Troth with a lot of time, and he gets it to Mark Schrader, the tight end. Stop made by Juha Liadis.
There's a flag down in the play, and also his favorite receivers down in the play. The flag was before for something occurring in the backfield, which we'll pick up in a second. But he really doesn't want to lose Mark Schrader. The only reason they completed that pass was because the quarterback had nobody to throw to. Mark came back, helped the quarterback out, gave him a target, and paid for it with a pretty heavy hit.
Interestingly enough, Mark Schrader used to play in the British League last year. He played for the Luton Flyers in the Budweiser League.
If you think that's a coincidence, well, here he is again. Let's watch the play. He comes across, gives a target.
It's the offense, decline, 4th down.
4th down. You think it's interesting that Mark played for Luton. Mark also played for the 2 coaches that are now coaching the Helsinki Roosters, and that might mean that he knows their offense. Let's hope he gets up and around. I don't like it when a player's not moving on the field.
Well, the ball on the 24-yard line of the Amsterdam Crusaders. It's a 4th and 9 now for the Amsterdam Crusaders. Their clutch receiver, tight end Mark Schrader, is down on the field. And he looked hurt in that tackle by Juha Liedis, number 17, the linebacker.
Well, if you can see here, it was a clean hit. He reached up, he got himself planted, and before he could actually get turned upfield, he got grabbed, spun, and then a second man hit him. And it was a second hit by number 17, straight clean, but it's just that Mark had been spun around, was unable to get his balance, and got hit by the second man. I think you will see him play again in about 2 minutes as soon as he shakes his head clear and starts counting up how many backbones still hurt.
Well, applause there from the spectators as Mark Schrader is helped off the field. We don't know how long he'll be out for, certainly a couple of plays. The Crusaders go back to the line of scrimmage. They've got a 4th down, 9 yards still to go. So Portroff back in his role as punter. That's number 15, Portroff, way back in the field to receive the snap for the punt. Good snap, the ball goes a long way downfield. And it's Mike Kane to receive. He breaks off his first tackle, out of bounds at the 49-yard line. Nice return by Mike Kane, the running back and punt returner for the Helsinki Roosters.
I think you'll find that when he gets his punt up, it's well covered by number 1 coming down the right-hand side, but he makes a little error in that once you get down there, you're supposed to slow your speed down to get under control. Number 1 kept going. He didn't get under control. Number 9, Mike Kane, was able to take a sidestep and get around him.
Number 1 being Steve Fairber, the cornerback of the Amsterdam Crusaders. Arizuli in motion. But it's Mike Kane who gets the ball, and he's racing. That play left the Amsterdam Crusaders cold. It's 6 points. Success at last for the Roosters. They're into the end zone.
If you watch this play, it's a reverse. He comes around an inside reverse. Mike Kane's got it. They haven't seen a reverse yet. It caught everybody going to the left side. Mike Kane swung around, picked up the ball on the inside, and 6 points, Roosters. Watch it again. Here it is, inside. Number 44, or 34, coming around. They think they have it, but Mike Kane had already circled the end and was heading for pay dirt.
2 things the Roosters love is misdirection and a reverse. And the Crusaders defense are going to keep on their toes trying to read those plays. Here's the extra point. The flags go down on the play. Jaco Dix taking the kick for the Crusaders. I beg your pardon, Tapio Heikkilä taking the kick for the Helsinki Roosters, who had just scored the touchdown and gone 6-0 into the lead, but flags went down on that play.
Apparently, the flag was against the defense, which have declined the penalty, so that'll be 6 points.
On the field. The extra point is good. Penalty on the kickoff, 15 yards.
You heard it. They had an extra man on the field. They still couldn't stop it, so they got the point, and they give up some yardage on the kickoff. That's a new interesting tactic. Try 12 men if you can't stop them with 11.
Well, you saw the statistics about the amount of penalty yards that Amsterdam give up. 153 in their semi-final, whereas the Helsinki Roosters gave up only 70 in 2 games. So Helsinki, with discipline on their side, with a ground control offense that runs the ball nicely, have managed to put 7 points on the scoreboard in the second quarter of the Daily Mail Eurobowl 88.
I think you'll find there's a little more to this. Here's our reverse again. Here we go. Mike Kane up the middle. There should have been 1 Dutchman on the outside of that play until Mike Kane, crossed scrimmage. There was nobody back there at all to stop him. He was able to run around because the entire right side of the Dutch team had gone left, thinking the ball was going in the other direction. You must leave 1 man at home. 1 man at home at all times.
Well, the Crusaders are back by 7 points. They're down by 7 points, but they're used to coming back from behind. We saw it happen in the quarterfinal against the London Ravens. We saw it happen in the last 3 minutes of the semi-final, coming back on an 17-point deficit to the Berlin Eagles, and they came back to win and get a place in this final.
Well, that's very true, James. A little difficulty is the Dutch team has had two very hard, physical, and extremely emotional games. And each time they've been able to come from behind. This is the third test, the most important of all. They've done it before, but do they have enough energy left?
Well, the Crusaders with a lot to prove here on the 22-yard line as they start a 1st and 10. That's Rob Kimman coming up on the left-hand side of the line of scrimmage. But the handoff goes to Ronald Roosplaat, and he's got a lot of open space. Tackle finally made by Bill Jackrish, the American linebacker of the Roosters, but it's a big first down for the Crusaders. They move upfield. Ball now on the 41-yard line.
Watch for the first time you see this defensive line of the Roosters go. 20 bounces again outside, looking outside. Now he'll come just inside, taking number 45 away from him. Very, very nice, intelligent running by number 20.
1st and 10 at the 41 for the Crusaders. And that was a quarterback sneak by Paul Trott. Stop made by number 51, it looked like, of the Roosters. But the ball already moves up to the 45-yard line now. It's 2nd down and 7 for the Crusaders. Handoff to Ronald Roosplaat again. This time he's taken down quickly by Bill Jackrish, tackled from behind, but a gain of about moved up for about 7 yards on that play. Another big gain for Ronald Roosplaat. This is 2nd in a row. And he's getting rather more game time in this championship game than he has done in the semi-finals and the quarterfinals.
So they're staying on the ground quite a bit, trying to get that 3 yards up the middle, 3 yards up the middle to set up a pass. He's used no play action yet, so maybe this is what he's lining us up for. A fake run and a pass.
Well, he's moved the Crusaders up to a 3rd and 2. Troth hands it off to Roosplaat again. And he dives to make the first down. And that'll move the ball up inside the Roosters half. It'll be on about the 54-yard line. And that'll be good for another first down for the Crusaders. Stop made by number 66, Bjorn Ackerblom.
Here he comes again, going to the backfield, giving number 20 the ball, bouncing outside. Number 80 has got to contain that man, bring him to the inside where number 80's got help. Don't let the back get around you. You must force him to the inside where you can rally the troops.
So the line of scrimmage on the 46-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Crusaders. Well, that was play action as Trott faked the handoff. It looked like it was going to Ricky Ramshahai, but Kim Tanglissen got well upfield. Unfortunately, the ball a little underthrown, otherwise that would have been a big gain for the Crusaders. But incomplete and a 2nd and 10. 8 minutes to half-time as we take a look at the replay.
And here he comes with that play action, looking around, backing up. There's a late hit on the quarterback, but I think the man was pulling up. He didn't put his head down, so the referee will allow that. Once your motion is started, you're okay. As long as you don't follow through, use an elbow.
I think the rule is 1 step, isn't it, Lance?
The rule is whatever the referee interprets it as.
Troth stepping back. Again, good protection from the offensive line, but the ball incomplete. And Trott shouting defensive routes, pass routes to his receivers, because that's another incomplete play, leaving the Crusaders on a 3rd and 10. They got the ball into the Roosters half, they got it up to the 46-yard line, but so far they haven't been able to press the Roosters back any further.
Well, they got it up there with the running game. Then they've gone to what they're most comfortable with, the passing game. But they don't have the number 1 receiver in there. Mark is still on the sideline, so we'll have to see what they can do here. 3rd and down, they're going to have to go to the air.
Troth in the backfield. Aldo Clade with good pass protection. Well, Ronald Roosblatt's great on the ground, but he couldn't haul that ball in to make the completion. The Crusaders are left with a 4th and 10. Take a look at this on the replay.
Well, Paul's going back, looking for the man. He's coming across, and he just overthrows him slightly, going backwards. He just couldn't quite handle it. I don't think they would have made the first down as it was, but as it is, it's 4th and 10.
We saw the Crusaders try and convert a 4th and 10 with an ordinary play instead of a punt early in the first quarter. But this time it's Paul Troth back at the 42-yard line to punt. Smacks that one off downfield. Goes straight past number 9, Mike Kane. It'll be touched back to the 20-yard line. But there is a flag on the play way back at the line of scrimmage. One of the Crusaders down there as well. Impossible to tell at this point who exactly is down. It looks like one of the offensive line. So play suspended while the officials check with the injured player. Crusaders have already lost their clutch receiver, Mark Schrader.
Against the white. Before the kick, we'll go 15 yards and a first down.
Well, 15 yards and a first down for the Crusaders on the penalty. But the player is still down injured.
That was a personal foul.
Now we see that it's center Mark Van Veltzen. He's a key member of the offensive line for the Amsterdam Crusaders. They can't afford to do without him.
Well, more importantly, that has changed the tenor of the game. Instead of having a punt, they've now just established a first down because that moves the ball up 15 yards. Personal fouls normally mean that you've done something with your hands to the other player. Face cage, grabbed them, spun him around, but the referees will not tolerate it. It's cost Helsinki 15 more yards.
And it's given the Crusaders a 1st and 10 on the 32-yard line. Troth with the play-action pass once more, one of his favorite plays. The reception is good. Bjorn Ackerblom, the linebacker, coming in and make the stop, but it's Mark Schrader announcing his return to the game with a great reception there. It's moved the Crusaders upfield, 4 yards to a first down.
Well, he's using this play action more and more. He does it very well, hides the ball on his hip, nobody's looking, turns around, looks for Mark across the middle again, trying to throw under that zone, moving the ball 5 yards, 6 yards each time.
They've still got 3 or 4 yards before they can get a first down. Here you see 2nd and 3 as Mark Schrader splits out right and Kim Tanglissen goes in motion. It's Troth to Tanglissen, and he's just good enough for a first down for the Crusaders. Stop made by Ilka Hipponen, number 45 for the Roosters.
Well, if we get a chance to watch that play again, you'll see how Amsterdam overloaded the right side by getting an extra back over there. There goes the back. Here comes Paul in a sprint out. He didn't go back into the pocket, just ran to the right, looked for the extra man on that right-hand side. The whole flow of the play was to get one extra man over to the right-hand side. Paul sprinted right, quick pass, 5 to 6 yards.
Kim Tanglissen could see the first down marker and he charged for the sideline, getting just past it for a 1st and 10 for the Crusaders. Troth to Roosblad, and white shirts all over number 20, Ronald Roosblad. He moved the ball upfield to the 15-yard line.
Well, there were white shirts all over, but not unfortunately stopping him. He picked up 5 yards, running still a little bit erect, but he did do exactly what he had to do, got 5 yards on first down.
The man making the stop eventually was Marku Aholo, number 70, the defensive tackle of the Roosters. But it's 2nd and 5 for the Crusaders. They're getting the ball moved nicely upfield now. They're trailing by 7 points, but they're only 16 yards away from the finish end zone. There you see Roseblatt, he lined up behind Paul Troth. Oh, what a stop by number 42, Mika Lidman. He caught him and then pushed him back 2 yards.
But he still burst through. Watch number 20, quick speed, nice moves. He breaks the tackle he had to break. Yes, he gets hit, dragged back, but it's where his forward progress was. I think we'll find he got just about a yard from first down. Very big play coming up, 3rd and 1. Nice running yet again.
Ronald Roseblatt very effective so far on the ground game for the Crusaders. The big name before this, I beg your pardon, the big name before this game started was Ricky Ramsahai, but so far we've seen a lot of his fellow backs, Ronald Roseblatt and Kim Tanglison. 3rd and 1 now for the Crusaders. Out goes Rob Kimman. Troth doesn't even pause it straight to Mark Schrader.
Well, that's a play. Is he getting up? Yes, he is. That's a play that a quarterback and receiver will practice a lot. Just a simple slant in. Quarterback takes 1 step back, throws very, very hard to defend against. A little bit hard to throw in traffic, but Mark is a big, strong lad, and he makes an ideal target down there where there's a lot of traffic.
Mika Lidman making the stop for the Roosters, but the Crusaders with that aerial play move upfield inside the 5-yard line. It's 1st and goal for Amsterdam. That looked like Henry Castillion with the carry. Underneath a mound of finished shirts. Yes, it's Henry Castillion. He got up close to the goal line. The ball's still about a yard or so out. Juha Liades, number 17, coming in to stop him breaking the plane of the end zone and getting 6 points for the Amsterdam Crusaders.
Here he comes, slashing in the middle again. That big Helsinki defense trying to keep him out. Only got 2 yards to go. The Dutch have the wind up a little bit. They want this. They want to even up the game. They're trying very, very hard on that front line to establish their ascendancy.
The drive by the line is enough.
Well, they just established their ascendancy. If we get to watch that play again, you watch the surge of the red jerseys. They almost moved 1 yard forward before the quarterback had to step. Here we go. Boom. Everybody forward. Student body, everybody meet in the end zone. Here we go.
Well, the Dutch reply to the finished touchdown. They've now got 6 points of their own on the scoreboard as they line up to take the point after touchdown. Jacko Dix there. But the play is whistled before it starts. There'll be a timeout for the Amsterdam Crusaders. The drive that took the Amsterdam Crusaders into the end zone was 15 plays for 78 yards. Crusaders, after an initially slow start, are learning to move the ball well against this Rooster defense.
I don't think Paul will like the fact that he had to use a timeout on the point after because somebody didn't hear his signal. Number 21 went scrambling across the line. Paul had to call timeout. Here we go. Well, here's the play. Watch this red line surge. When you get up front, down there, the defensive line should be able to get under the offensive line. Helsinki should have been lower than that Dutch team. They weren't. As a result, we got a touch quarterback.
4 minutes and 13 seconds left in the half.
Well, 4 minutes and 13 seconds left in the half. Paul Troth, the head coach, the quarterback, the punter, and the touchdown scorer for the Amsterdam Crusaders. There's 6 points to the Helsinki Roosters 7. They're looking to add the extra point now with Jacko Dix, number 51, to kick. Roar from the crowd as the point is good.
Well, we have a nice, interesting game here. 7-7, everybody's scoring. You know, you mentioned something earlier, James, about how many penalties the Roosters give up, which is the least of any of the teams here. I found it very interesting talking with the coaches that the Roosters have been playing together for 7, 8, and 9 years as a team, which means that they know each other better than most other players in Europe, or for that matter, in a collegiate system. You normally play for 3 to 4 years maximum with somebody, and then you have to start all over again with somebody else. These Roosters know themselves rather well. They know what the man next to them is going to do, what he may not do, and the result of that is a very, very well-disciplined, low-penalty team.
Jaco Dix taking his preparatory run up for the kick. Again, it's Kane to return. And he's bringing it back out of the end zone. A brave move there, one that didn't really pay off. If he touched the ball down in his own end zone, it would have been taken out as a touchback to the 20-yard line. He chose to match his skills against the special teams of the Crusaders.
Well, if you watch him going back, he went back to catch the ball, then he started going forward. There are a lot of coaches who would say that once you've started going backwards and caught the ball with your weight in the wrong direction, put your knee down, don't go forward. And I think he might have been a little wiser to have just put his knee down, come off from the 20. But here we start from the 14.
Ball going with number 44. It's Kimmo Levonen, another of a fine cadre of Finnish running backs.
Well, if you watch him come right through, first man through, a trap on the line, number 44, the fullback, who's basically a blocker, not a ball carrier. They use their two running backs to do all the work. He normally blocks, and that time they gave him the ball right up the middle.
Take a advantage, the stop made by Martin Shepherd, number 44. And the pitch out goes to Mike Kane, who glides through the Amsterdam line. It's a foot race. Menno Gibson trying to stop him, and he takes him down. The strong safety, Menno Gibson, making a touchdown-saving tackle there for the Crusaders. It looked like Mike Kane had broken it big all the way through to the end zone in 6 points.
Well, if you watch this, it's a simple pitch out. He comes inside, the outside man inside, breaks through. There was no secondary Dutchman to come right to stop the cutback. He goes all the way downfield. Watch a little closer. He comes outside, then ducks inside, beat the outside man, went right downfield for a lovely run.
A great run, not a touchdown, but it's moved the Roosters upfield to the 20-yard line. And now their running game moves it up to the 15.
I think we're now beginning to see the ascendancy of this running game. They just pile it on and pile it on. I think you're going to have to find that the Helsinki Roosters...
2 minutes left in the half.
The Helsinki Roosters are about 10 to 25 pounds. That's 2 stones heavier per man up front, and that might tell on the Dutch as we get into the game.
Well, the team's receiving the 2-minute warning, 2 minutes of game time in the first half of the Eurobowl 88 final between the Helsinki Roosters and the Amsterdam Crusaders. The score 7-all here in the second quarter. Finland with a 2nd and 5 now on the 15-yard line. They're pressing the Crusaders defense.
For those of you who are watching our game for the first time, that 2-minute warning is given to each coach so that if they want to do anything in particular or special, they know they've got just 2 minutes to finish it out.
That's Kennanen trying to find Kane in the end zone, but the pass is incomplete.
Can we run that again? I think I saw a Helsinki pass.
It's unusual, right, Lance? As we said earlier, carrying...
Hold on, let me watch this slowly. Yes, he's rolling out. That's it. It is a Helsinki pass. That's the first one we've seen this half. I'd like to point out the man can pass. When necessary, he can throw. Not that I've ever seen him throw before, but now I have.
Well, he's had pretty even statistics through the quarter and semi-finals of this tournament. He was 4 of 7 in the quarterfinal and 3 of 6 in the semi-finals, so he doesn't like to go to the pass a lot. You're right there, Lance. As we see number 34, Ari Thule, moving the ball upfield. Stop made by number 69, Martin Tyson of the Crusaders.
If we can pick this up again, one of the features of their game is watch the block by the quarterback. He's trying to get out there to throw a block. Most teams protect their quarterback. He was out there looking for some help, trying to take somebody down. We're up to 3rd down and 1. Very big pressure play.
11-yard line now for the Roosters. They're close to the Crusaders' end zone. They want to get their lead back over the team from Amsterdam. And the dive takes them inside the 10. That was Mike Kane making the run.
I don't think he quite made it. I think you'll find that the referee will mark it where his knee came down. Is probably going to be 4th and short. We may have a measuring here, but it's very, very close. For those of you who would be coaches out in the stands now, what would you do on 4th down? Would you punt? Would you kick for 3? Or would you go for it and go for a touchdown? That's why most coaches have gray hair.
Well, 1.5 minutes left and 10 yards between the Helsinki Roosters and the end zone.
Left in the half.
Well, this Crusaders defense has surprised a lot of people with its play. It put a pass rush on the Ravens quarterback in the quarterfinal that really unsettled him and was one of the key factors in their win. Let's see if they can hold the Roosters here. 10 yards outside their end zone. It's another misdirection play, but it doesn't gain the Roosters.
I think you'll find that was another reverse in the opposite direction this time, but it was picked up very well by a penetrating linebacker. Here at first, Kane gives off, reverse inside, and where is the linebacker penetrating? Very nice play, fought off his blocker, stopped the reverse for a loss.
Yeah, that was Jaco Dix, the defensive lineman, who you also see kicking for the Crusaders, making the stop on Ari Tooley. The ball moved back to the 11-yard line now, close to the end of the first half of the Daily Mail Eurobowl 88. Jyrki Ahola. He was almost in the end zone. The ball spun out. It is a touchdown.
Well, when we get to see this again, we're going to see a unique touchdown. They carried the ball up to within 1 yard. He fell forward. Here he comes, coming out of the same formation, number 36, coming inside, following his quarterback, goes up front, fumbles the ball forward. Number 88 says, thank you very much. I'll have 6 points and a cup of tea, please.
That's Timo Backman. He's a wide receiver, but a great heads-up play as he falls on that ball to save what would have been a fumble, and instead puts 6 points on the scoreboard for the Finland Helsinki Roosters.
We have another player receiving treatment a little bit.
That's Marcus Muller for free safety.
Very few teams in the history of American football have been asked to play 3 tough games within 7 days. A lot of these players are playing with some minor, fairly major injuries. They all want to win. It's the biggest day of their football life. They're out there trying. We're going to see a few more bumps and bruises before the day is over.
So the Roosters taking a 13-7 lead here, close to the end of the first half, and now going for the point after touchdown. Tapio Haikalu slots it through the uprights. Well, it's a 14-7 game, Lance.
Well, they've done exactly what they said they were going to do. They were going to work the ball down, on the ground, in and out, cutting and slashing runs with a lot of line traps. For those of you, again, who don't watch that much American football, the offensive line on most teams blocked straight ahead are nothing very terribly interesting. On the Roosters, they do a lot of complicated maneuvers up front. If you notice, number 69 pulled, came around the left side. Number 38's gone inside, thrown the ball to number 88, who happened to be in the right place and right place at the time to get his name in the history books.
And get the Roosters another 6 points, which Tapio Haikalu added a 7th to with that point after touchdown kick. Well, you won't see too much celebrating going on the Helsinki sideline, not because they're not happy, but because they're a very quiet team. They don't like to get overexcited. They like to let the logic dictate their plays. There you see the stats for the completed passes. Amsterdam only 7 of 20, and I think the absence of Mark Schrader in their passing attacks had a lot to do with those poor stats. It's Tanglisson returning, and he seemed to pause as the Helsinki special teams closed around him. Ball lying on the 29-yard line.
He seemed to slow down a little bit just before they hit. I wonder if the Dutch are getting a little tired. He didn't put his shoulder down and his helmet down, take that hit. He just stood up, waited a little while, let the backs come to him.
Well, the Crusaders trailing by 7 points. It's just over a minute to go. They got the ball on their own 29-yard line, but one thing about having an air attack is that it lets you make the quick strike. If you run the ball, you usually have to use a lot of plays to get into the end zone, but one long pass and you can move all the way upfield.
Well, they'll be playing a prevent defense now with the safeties way back, covering everything deep, giving up the short pass so they can be sure of making a tackle. A prevent defense is basically when you take your defensive backs very far away from the line of scrimmage so you won't let anything be thrown over your head and you give up anything in front of you. Prevent because you're preventing the touchdown, you'll give up the short yardage, but that's not their concern now. They do not want to score on them before the half. They want to go into the half with a 14-7 lead. So if you can watch those safeties and the cornerbacks, they'll stay well back.
Well, that interception left the that incompletion left the Crusaders on the 2nd and 10, still on their 29-yard line. And Trust getting airborne again. This time it's complete. Ronald Roastblad. And it's a fake play. He's handed off to Kim Tanglison. What a play for the Crusaders. Up to the 46-yard line. Lance, you're a coach. You must appreciate stuff.
Well, that's straight out of San Francisco's book. Here you got crossing receivers. You throw to one, he stops, laterals to the other, and the line is already running downfield. It's a preset play. Everybody knows it's coming, but it takes a receiver with a lot of courage to catch the ball, and then the lateral back.
Everybody knows for the Roosters defense, that is, until Mika Lidman can come in and make the stop.
Well, it's a lovely play. Takes a lot of courage to run it, but they worked it as well as you can do it. Pass to one man, lateral back, get your line downfield, and you pick up 15 to 20 yards. I did see a flag down. Did you see what it was for, James?
I haven't done yet, but they're moving the ball back towards
Holding.
the Crusaders end zone. A holding
Here's the
call
offense.
against the Crusaders.
2nd down.
And we talked about penalties, but that is the worst time to have one. When you bring off a big play like that, the last thing you want to have it done is for
1 minute left in the quarter.
lose yardage on what would have been a big game.
Well, it's an emotional downer as well. What you don't want to happen when you make a good play is to have it called back. You've got to get everybody excited all over again. That should have been a big moment, and it wasn't.
Well, it's 2nd and 2 now for the Crusaders. Portros back in the shotgun. But that play was never going to happen. Intended for number 86, who managed to fall over. Raymond van Gerhard, the tight end. He fell over before the ball had got to him, and it was always going to be an incompletion for Amsterdam.
Well, they're in the shotgun now. He's standing back there by himself. He's throwing again. You notice how number 61 pulled off, didn't follow through. That's good, clean football, and we should see a lot more of that. Nice play, 61.
Yeah, that's John Willems, the left tackle of the Helsinki Roosters. And the players left the Crusaders still with a 3rd down, still with about a yard to go. Trope this time to Mark Schrader, his favorite receiver. Well, 49 seconds to go. The Crusaders back in the huddle. They've got the ball on the 43-yard line. They've got just under 50 seconds to go. They've got a 7-point deficit on the scoreboard. Now they come up to the line of scrimmage. They've got to be trying to get a quick, big strike to get themselves downfield, to make themselves in a scoring position.
Well, he's back in that shotgun, so he doesn't have to go back. He's looking for the long pass, and here it is, up in the air, looking for 21.
Well, that was a bomb downfield, but it wasn't aimed correctly. Kim Tanglison running into double coverage from the Helsinki Roosters defense. Ranu Laksu and Mika Lidman coming in on the play.
I think Paul Troth is having a little word with the officials. He feels his receiver is a little bit impeded there. I don't know if we'll get a chance to see it again. Here he is. He's coming downfield. No, again, it's shoulder to shoulder with number 33. Paul Troth thought his receiver had been pulled, but it wasn't. It looked to be clean. Again, when that ball's in the air, it's each man is equal.
Interestingly enough, the rules played here in Europe are different to those that the NFL play. So those of you who are used to the pro game in America will be surprised if we see an interference penalty. The rule in America is that the ball is moved up to where the catch would have been made. Under the NCAA rules that we play in Europe, the penalty is a straight 15 yards upfield. Mika Liedman making the stop there.
Well, I think it wasn't so much as a stop as Paul, again, is dropping back 10 yards, throws the ball down the middle. He puts it in his sights, grabs it, forgets that he has to hold it before he runs with it, and unfortunately dropped it. That was his first interception attempt. Again, they're working on Paul. If you can see that, those hits coming in.
Still 10 yards to go. Now the third down for the Crusaders. Throw from the shotgun, and it's another long bomb downfield. Intended for Mark Schrader, number 38, but he couldn't get under that ball with tight coverage from Ilkka Hipponen, number 45 of the Roosters.
I don't think he actually expected to complete that pass. He just threw it down there, hoping Mark's height might get him a little advantage against three of the smaller defensive backs. But there were enough Roosters there that Mark has somebody to talk to.
Mark's a very talkative guy. He used to play quarterback for the Luton Flyers, so a lot of English fans will know all about him and the quotes he comes up with. 4th and 10 now for the Amsterdam Crusaders. Ball still on the 43-yard line. They haven't been able to move it out of their own half and get a score.
I think Paul just called a timeout now to take a little bit of moment to think exactly what he wants to do. It doesn't make a lot of sense to punt from here. If he feels his defense can stop Helsinki, he'll probably go for that first down. It's 1st and 10. He knows that he's got to get on that board if he can one more time before halftime. But the plays that he have been working successfully up until this game haven't worked against a more aggressive Helsinki defense.
20 seconds remaining, so it's now or never in the first half for the Amsterdam Crusaders. They trail by 7 points. They don't want to go into the halftime break with a lead for the Helsinki Roosters. It's not good for morale in the locker room. They want to see if their quick strike offense can get a ball into the end zone. But on the basis of the last 3 downs, when they haven't been able to shift the ball at all, it's not looking good for Paul Troth and the Amsterdam Crusaders.
Well, I don't think they'd mind Amsterdam going back 1 touchdown down in the dressing room because they are a passing team, and a passing team can make that up. I think they'd rather be within 1 touchdown as the game is and go in. Remember, they've done it each time in the previous 2 games and come back with long bombs in the second half. We'll have to see.
As you see the ball punted into the end zone, it'll be touched back to the 20. Indeed, as you say, Lance, Amsterdam are a team who've come back against the odds more than once in this competition. An absolutely stunning overturn of a 17-point lead inside the final 10 minutes. The Berlin Eagles thought they had their semi-final wrapped up against the Crew. The Crew came back, as I say, scored 18 points inside the last 10 minutes and booked their berth here in the Daily Mail Eurobowl 88 final. They're a plucky team. They never give up. The ball now with the Helsinki Roosters with the final seconds of the first half. .11 seconds and a 1st and 10 just inside the 20 for the Helsinki Roosters. Ari Tuli with the option pass. Well, it's incomplete. Mike Kane had got downfield to be on the other end of that, but the ball was slightly underthrown by Finland's leading rusher, number 34, Ari Tuli. And that's knocked off a couple of seconds off the clock. 6 seconds remaining now in the first half.
Well, if you watch this option halfback pass, he sets himself, he throws, I think, more to try and catch the defense sleeping than because he wants to make Dan Marino lose sleep at night. He doesn't seem to be a quarterback, but the defense wasn't necessarily awake to that either.
Certainly Ruud Spahn was laying well off Mike Kane there, and if the reception had been good, I think Mike Kane would have broken for a big gain. Back on the ground now for Helsinki. As number 44, Kimmo Livonen, moves the ball upfield to the 23-yard line. That's the end of the first half. So the score is 14 points for the Helsinki Roosters. Amsterdam Crusaders 7 points. It's a lead for the Helsinki Roosters, but the Crusaders have come back against bigger leads than this in the first 2 games of their route to the final. You'll be back with us for the whole of the second half here at Crystal Palace from London, England.
And you'll be able to see the second half of the game.
8. The Helsinki Roosters leading the Amsterdam Crusaders by 14 points to 7. Amsterdam will come back both in the quarters and the semis. Can they come back again? Let's join our commentators, James Richardson and Lance Coe.
14 points to 7 the score. The Roosters scored first with a Mike Kane 52-yard run. That put them 7-0 ahead. It was the Crusaders next. Troth diving behind his offensive line as they surged over the goal line to make the score even on 7-7. And the Roosters came back in the second quarter when Jyrki Ahola, number 36, running the ball into the end zone, fumbled, and the tight end Timo Backman fell on the ball, recovered the fumble for the Roosters, and put 6 points on the scoreboard in the process. So the score then 14 points to 7. The second half getting ready to start.
Well, as we start off the second half, we're starting off yet again with one touchdown individual, one touchdown difference between the two teams. It's going to be a little bit down to the wire this afternoon. The heat's playing a factor. The Helsinki Roosters on that big line have begun to establish themselves. I would think that the Dutch Crusaders, the Amsterdam Crusaders, would want to come out throwing a little bit. They want to come out throwing.
It's almost surprising to find the Crusaders only down by one touchdown, Lance. Being a Cruise fan really isn't a occupation for those with a nervous disposition. They really do leave it to the last minute before coming back to snatch victory. And as you say, are they going to do it again today? As Jacko kicks off the second half. Well, the return is up to the 42-43 yard line. Jussi Arantala returning the kick for the Roosters, and Romeo Banderson, the defensive lineman. He's only 17 years old, but he came in there on the stop, leaving the Roosters on their own 43 yard line for a 1st and 10. Thule in motion, he gets the handoff. He's running the left-hand side of the line of scrimmage. Ricardo Zimmerman. He made a lot of big stops in the first half, and he's there on the first play of the second, making the stop on Ari Thule, number 34. Thule, though, a great running back, had already made ground up to the 49. Lance.
Well, the Roosters have come out the way they intend to go on. They've come out with a running game, 6 yards, first carry.
49-yard line. Second and about 3 yards for the Roosters. And the ball going down at about the midway mark of the field.
I think you see a defensive offside there. The left side of the Dutch line jumped a little bit. So they would have gone to try, and anything they would have gotten was a benefit. They've got 5 yards on the play anyway.
Looked like the defensive captain, Jinder Ramshahai, who jumped off the line a little early. There you see Kimmo Livonen, who ran the play.
As we watch on the left side again, his number 39 jumped a little bit early, looking for a Red Dog blitz coming in there. Got his helmet over the line of scrimmage. That's sufficient for 5 yards.
Marcel Deneboom getting off early. He couldn't get back on the line of scrimmage before the snap. So the penalty against the Crusaders lets the Roosters move upfield. They've got the ball on the 46-yard line of the Crusaders now. It's a 1st and 10. It looks as though it might go to him, but it's Mike Kane, number 9, with the snap, and he breaks 2 tackles. He's past his 3rd. What an amazing play by this American running back. Martin Tyson, number 69, the man finally making the stop, but Tane just threw off 3 Amsterdam tackles.
Well, you can see why this man made All-American. Instead of giving up, every time he was hit, he spun. Watch him come through. It's the same play. He's following his number 59, number 11. He breaks through. The first hit, he spins. He keeps his balance. He keeps his head down. Keeps going forward. Breaks again. Keeps going forward. Lands going forward. Watch him yet again. Cut through. First.
Actually, Lance, we're onto a new play now. And that's Jyrki Ahola who's now running the ball. Mike Kane showing great running style there. You see the knees pumping, which is the mark of a true running back, because when the tackles come, you keep the knees pumping, you keep driving downfield. You don't let them take you to the ground. But that play by Jyrki Ahola takes the Finns up to a 2nd and 9. They got the ball inside the 20-yard line. The handoff to Kimmo Livonen, who takes the ball up to about the 16-yard line before Ricardo Zimmerman, the cornerback, comes in on the stop. Interestingly enough, Carrie Ketton then faked the handoff after the ball had gone to Livonen to Ari Tooley as an additional confusion to the defense.
Well, they're using this play a lot. The fullback is very close. He just did a quick dive in. Good block on number 69, the tackle. He just goes outside. Everything else is to freeze the linebackers and the cornerbacks. But the fullback up the middle.
3rd and 2 as Mike Kane takes the handoff. McRoy in there early for the Crusaders as they push the All-American halfback back past the line of scrimmage. Ball still lying around the 16-yard line. Roosters using their running game to press home towards the Crusaders' end zone, but the Crusaders' defensive line is starting to tighten up now around people like Mike Kane. He got some big breaks, that 53-yard touchdown in the first half, but he's finally going a little tougher now.
If the Helsinki Roosters score again, then we can really see what the Dutch can do. They're not accustomed to coming back from 1 touchdown. They need to come back from 2 touchdowns.
They need a little incentive, Lance. 4th and 1. The play is Ari Tooley. Well, one of the Dutch defensive line came in to knock him back quickly. It was the defensive captain, Jinder Ramshahai. It may have been enough to halt the progress of the Finns and stop the first down. But it looked as though Ari Tooley broke the line of the plane, rather, of the first down. Lance?
There's notice there's kind of a shuffle pass forward to number 34. It was meant as a misdirection. The quarterback goes one way, shuffle pass the ball forward.
Jinder Ramshahai knocking Ari Tooley back, but just a little too late. It's Mike Kane running from the first down. He's taking it inside the 5. Well, that is inches away from the end zone. Jinder Ramshahai coming in again to make the stop for the Dutch defensive line.
Watching again as number 9 comes right through, incisive in the middle. Everybody's going left. Now he keeps drive. You're going to have to tackle him a little bit lower than that, fellas.
Well, that is Mike Kane for you. As you saw in the replay, he went straight through a whole pack of defenders, and while we were all watching that, expecting him to come out of the bottom, 4 yards further on, he turns up just inches away from the end zone. He just doesn't go down when he's tackled. There goes Kane again. He's got the ball, and he's in. Mike Kane with another 6 points for the Roosters. This man is invaluable to the Helsinki team.
He's almost as invaluable as that up-front line blocking, because if you notice, he wasn't hit. Watch him come, goes in motion, cuts back inside, stands up into the end zone. That's outstanding line blocking down there where it counts.
Well, as you see the replay, there's a flag on the play.
It was against the defense and declined. It is a touchdown and it stands.
Not surprisingly, the Helsinki Roosters choose to keep the 6 points rather than Mike Kane got for them on that play, rather than put the Amsterdam Crusaders through their goal line D once more. Tapio Haikulu with the point after. It is good. Another point for the Roosters. As we mentioned earlier, under college rules, the teams do have the option of running or passing the ball into the end zone to get 2 points after the touchdown instead of just the 1. But so far, we haven't seen that option used. Teams opting to go for the safe 1 point with a kick each time.
Well, since we only saw Helsinki pass twice, one was a halfback option, one was a quarterback pass, I really wouldn't expect them to pass for that extra point. They're doing exactly what they wanted to do on the ground. It's 5 yards, slashing runs. Both their running backs are doing a terribly good job. Their line blocking has established their ascendancy down there, and they're doing exactly what they wanted to do on their game plan. The Dutch are now in their favorite positions, 2 touchdowns behind, and here we go. Watching it through, cutting on the inside, following his blockers, going in, standing up. Absolutely no problem. I think that flag was dropped by the referee.
Well, 9 plays for 58 yards. That's what it took the Helsinki Roosters to get into the end zone. They average just over 7 yards every carry, and that is why this Finnish offense is so formidable. 21, Kim Tanglisson running towards the ball, but it'll be touched back to the 20-yard line. Well, the Amsterdam Crusaders at the wrong end of a 21-7 scoreline. It's the third quarter. They do have possession of the ball now. They'll get a 1st and 10 on their 20-yard line. So far, the thing that really brought them back in the first 2 games from big deficits, which was their passing game, hasn't really given them the kind of success they'd have expected perhaps before their game. And a key feature of that has to be the absence in the first quarter of Mark Schrader after he took a big hit.
That was a lovely shift by the defensive line of the Helsinki Roosters, which stopped the Amsterdam Cold. They had gone up, called their play, the line shifted, filled every gap, and just shut that play down for exactly no gain. Watch them as they shift. Everybody moved to the right, standing right there when the ball carrier came in. No place to go.
Credit to Marka Aholo, number 70 for the Finnish Roosters. And he was the man who came in with the stop there on Kim Tanglisson. Heads-up defense from the Roosters, who are really fired up now to stop what they know is a quick strike, very potent offense of the Amsterdam Crusaders.
And there we have yet the 3rd time that Paul was forced to change his call at the line of scrimmage. Not enough time, taking a little too much time in the huddle.
Delay of game and the offense.
More importantly, this shows that they're not as confident as they should be. They're changing 2 and 3 times at the line of scrimmage. That means that defense from Helsinki is confusing them a bit.
It's a young team, Lance. They've been playing only a couple of years since the split with the Amsterdam Rams. Now's the play-action pass. It was intended for Henry Castillion, number 33. He couldn't hang on to the ball. So the Dutch stay right where they are. 3rd down and 12 now for the Crusaders.
If you watch this coming out of the backfield yet again, it's a set play. He's looking for him, looks down. It is actually within his hands. If a quarterback hits you on the hands, you're supposed to catch it.
And you saw there in the replay, Ari Kalto and Juha Liedis putting in some of that pass rush pressure that Lance was talking about in the first half. Troth has so far emerged without a scratch on him, but that's really to the credit of his offensive line rather than the weakness of the defensive rush. There you see Ronald Roosback making the reception that the Crusaders needed so much. It was Mika Liedman coming in on the stop, but the ball goes out past the 30-yard line.
It was a nice play. As you can see, he drops back again, but he's looking deep. Instead, he throws under the zone to a back coming out, up there, turning right. Should have been covered by number 80. Let him get away from him the one time. Paul made him pay.
Well, Ronald Roosblad finding lots of room under the zone defense that the Dutch are employing, that the Finns are employing. Troth again, opting to pass. He dumps it off to Kim Tanglisson. Well, a little confusion there, and I've got to think that they would have made more ground on that play if it hadn't been for a bit of confusion between Kim Tanglisson and the 2 blockers he was running behind. Timo Tako, the linebacker of the Finns, found time to come in.
Well, if you pick this up, when he picks up the ball out there, the blocker should go straight ahead. They must commit. Number 20 is turned around to see what he wants. Don't turn around, son. Just go straight up the field. He'll get there.
Right guard Gabby von Kulen in there, and he was the one that Kim bounced into. Well, that man is Rufus van Gogh, and he's got the ball out to the 42-yard line now for the Crusaders. Mika Liedman, we've heard that name many times during the game. He comes in again with the stop.
He owes that run to his fine line block. If we can pick it up, number 71 just lays out a defender. Boom, there he goes. Back is through.
That's a man called Hoob Boz. Number 71, the linebacker, opened up the route there for Rufus van Gogh. It's taken the Crusaders up to the 42-yard line. Bortroth calling the play there at a 1st and 10. And Lance, I think you know what this is.
I and everybody else in the stands know what this is. They're taking just too much time to call out those plays. If you're going to spend a lot of time in the huddle, you can't come up and change your mind 2 or 3 times. There just aren't enough seconds.
Red.
Well, 5 yards is what the Dutch lose from that. They weren't managing to move the ball upfield, so that penalty is going to cost them very dear. If a play doesn't go right, you at least expect to stay where you started, not to get moved back as well. Tries now back to the running game with Rufus van Gogh, but he is closed down at the line of scrimmage by that Finnish defensive line, which is really beginning to read the Dutch run so well and stop it so quickly.
And we'll be right back after the break for the final quarter.
Welcome back to Crystal Palace in London. Here you see the play that got the Amsterdam Crusaders rolling again. It was Ronald Roosblad, number 20, running right off tackle. But the real game came when he broke 2 consecutive tackles, and it wasn't until he lost his ground that the Finnish Roosters caught up with him. Well, now it's the start of the 4th quarter. The Crusaders have moved upfield. They're on 3rd down with about 4 yards to go with the ball just inside the 20-yard line. They've got a 14-point deficit. They've come back against this kind of odds before, and they've got the kind of aerial attack that can get them scores quickly. What they've also got is a tough Roosters defense that makes plays like that one.
I think there's a combination of their defense plus a slip by number 20. They're trying that misdirection. I'm not sure if misdirection works against a team as big and as physical as Helsinki. I'd worry a little bit less about misdirection and a little bit more about a fast execution. Watch him as he comes off, tries to show that he's going to the left, a slip and down. But there are also 2 Roosters right there.
Yep, Timo Tucker making a fine instinctive play, switching from his original rush route to come back against the running back and take him down on the line of scrimmage. It's Roosblad again, and he's broken big. Well, a monster hit by Mika Lidman on Ronald Roosblad there. It's enough for the first down, Lance, and this is looking a different sort of Crusaders team.
Just comes
the one that was fumbling around in the third quarter, sorry.
Well, as he comes through on the right side this time, again he's cutting back against the grain. It's a simple play. The quarterback goes back, puts it in his stomach. He runs upfield looking for a hole.
The Crusaders got a first down on that, but the Roosters have got to thank Mika Lidman that they didn't maybe get 6 points. He was the man who put a crushing stop on Ronald Roosblad. This time it's Henry Castillion trying to run the ball, and he finds a hole around the right-hand side of the line of scrimmage. That's close to another first down after the Crusaders are all fired up here at the start of the 4th quarter. Kai Oi coming in on the stop, but the Crusaders know the size of their task. It's 14 points they've got to make up, and they're going at it.
Well, I wonder if we're seeing some tired Roosters out there, because if you watch him, he's actually stopped at the line of scrimmage, but he keeps going. The Roosters have to regroup and go after him again. In the beginning of the game, we saw 5 people. Now we're seeing 2 Roosters, and we saw 5 earlier.
Yeah, maybe we ought to remind people as well that although this is London, that is a hot afternoon out there, and the players will be getting very tired in the heat. As you see Henry Castillion being taken back behind the line of scrimmage by Bill Drackridge. Like the American Mike Crane on offense, he makes a hell of an impact on defense for the Roosters.
Well, again, a linebacker's came right up, shut off the play. He was running a bit high. When you get down that close to scrimmage, to the goal line, you want to put your head down a little bit more than that.
A lot of support there in the audience for the Amsterdam Crusaders. They were the team that knocked out the London Ravens, but their gutsy style of play has won them a lot of fans here in England's capital. Jim Mueller in motion, but the handoff looks as though it was to Castillion again, who gained maybe 2 yards on the play.
Unfortunately, I don't think the 2 yards was enough. I think we're going to go into a 4th and 1 situation.
Mika Lidman making the stop yet again on the running back.
I stand corrected. They did get a first down. It's 1st and goal. Now comes a test of the Helsinki Rooster defense.
The Crusaders offense surprises everyone, even you lot. It's close to the end zone. The Crusaders need to score here. They've only got 12 minutes in this final quarter of the game, and they're 14 points behind. Kortrijk knows his task. He knows the options available to him with this multifaceted offense. It's 1st and goal. You saw it before, it worked again. Again, Mike Kane uses the power of his offensive line to break the ball, put the ball past the line of the end zone.
That was Paul Troth just on his quarterback sneak carrying the ball over. He did exactly what a quarterback has to do. He came down the field. It's interesting they're using that running game more and more and more, and maybe that's going to be their salvation. Their problem is not so much scoring. Their problem is how do you stop the other guy from scoring?
Jacko Dick's ready to take the kick. Of course, you're right. It's Paul Troth who quarterbacks the Amsterdam Crusaders as they get the extra point. And not, of course, Mike Kane. He'd have a very busy day if he was both being leading running back for the Roosters and quarterback for the Crusaders.
Well, he's done about everything else he can do. Might as well throw the ball a few times anyway. Can't do any worse than what I've seen so far. They haven't thrown the ball very much. They've got the Helsinki team has a basis of running the ball, keeping it on the ground, wearing down the other team's defense. If they score in this one, it's going to be rather difficult.
Well, that was 11 plays, 57 yards to drive for the Crusaders, which took them into the end zone to recoup some of that 14-point loss. Johnny Johnson, the assistant coach with the Crusaders, said before the game they couldn't stop the Roosters. Here's the replay.
That was just Paul carrying the ball over, asking everybody to just take one step, plow forward as far as they can. I'll follow you right behind.
As I say, Johnny Johnson knew that the Crusaders were going to have trouble stopping the ground game of the Roosters. Nobody's done it yet in Europe. The Crusaders said, we can't do it. We haven't stopped anybody yet. What we can do is outscore the Roosters. And that's the task they've got here in the fourth quarter, as you see Jacko Dix put the ball on the ground, ready for the kickoff.
We're going down yet again to the final quarter with one touchdown in between as two fired-up teams go at each other.
Mike Kane having trouble getting the return safely in his hands, but he makes it out to the 37-yard line. The ball number 69, I beg your pardon, 99 made the stop on him.
I think you're right the first time. 69, one of the special team experts came in, made the tackle. And I'm glad he did for their sake, because Mike Kane looked to see a little bit of daylight, was hunting upfield, having bobbled the ball. He got a little bit of break coming on the inside. Met number 69. Thank you very much. Otherwise, he was gone.
There you saw it. It was number 69, Martin Tyson. Credit where credit's due. As the Roosters hand off to Ari Tooley. And that is the finished rushing game that we've been talking about all the way through this game. You know it's coming, but you just can't stop it. Martin Tyson made the eventual stop, but by that time they were up to the halfway line.
That was against the grain, though. If he went, he was trying to get off tackle left, and he had to, as you can see, he had to cut back against the grain to get there.
47-yard line. .47-yard line as the Finns run it again. This time the Amsterdam defensive line combines. Jinder Ramsahai, you see there, coming in, making the stop at the line of scrimmage.
They're coming with that fullback up the middle, just keeping everybody honest. It doesn't gain anything, but what it does do is make the linebackers be aware that if they don't cover that fullback, they'll be in trouble.
Well, they stop the Roosters at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 2nd and 10 now for Helsinki. Kane goes in motion, he gets the pitch out. And he met Martin Tyson and Marcel Deneboom making the stop for the Crusaders defense. But he's managed to plow inside the Amsterdam half.
Number 53 is making a lot of his tackles. He calls also the plays up there, adjusting the defense. As you can see here, the defense shadowed a little bit to the left, met the run, stopped it cold. Number 53 is not only playing his position, but he's also calling a lot of the defensive signals out there.
That's Jinder Ramsahai, and if the name sounds familiar, it's because his brother is number 36, the leading running back for the Crusaders. As Mike Kane gets the ball, and it's another big game for the Roosters. Martin Tyson coming in on the stop, but the Roosters have now moved the ball up to the 41-yard line of the Crusaders.
Well, here we go again, the same play, cutting inside, taking out number 51 on the outside. They make a step to the outside, and they reverse themselves, come into the inside, 6-8 yards each play. Very nice blocking.
Well, that's a nice afternoon's work for Mike Kane. 1st and 10 now for the Roosters. Mr. Harry Tooley, number 34, he's round the right-hand side of the offensive line on the sweep. Makes it to the sideline before Marcel Denboom comes in on the stop.
Just a simple running play. Watch the pulling guard on the right side. Watch number 44 in his block. Just out of screen on the right, took one man down, gave an extra 5 yards to his running back. Here he comes again, following his blockers. It's easy when you've got that many blockers out in front of you.
It's the 32-yard line now for the Roosters. There goes Kane. But the ball was with number 20, Jussi Arontola. It's so hard to follow the running backs with these Finnish ground attack. They mix it up. It looks as though it's going to one of about 3 backs.
Well, they're just taking the man on the inside. It's a quick dive, right off the number 20, foot in his stomach. He trips over a man going up. Otherwise, he would have gone a lot further than he did.
He took it to the 31-yard line as the down markers come out for a measurement. It's inches. It could be a 1st down for the Roosters. Whatever way, it's inches either way. It is a 1st down for Helsinki.
The Dutch really want to stop this drive if possible. They don't want to go to the last 5 or 10 minutes of this game, or last 5 minutes of the game, 2 touchdowns down. They're tired. They really want to stop this drive. They might get a field goal, but they don't really want to give up another touchdown at this time.
Just 6 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the game. 7 points still behind. The Amsterdam Crusaders trying to stop the Roosters drive. Hand off to Harry Tooley. And he finds those holes so easily. The stop by Romeo Banderson, defensive tackle for the Crusaders, but it happened too late because the Roosters have already moved up to the 22-yard line.
Well, I was going to comment on the pulling guards again because they pull from one side of the field so often that you would think by now the Dutch defenders see those pulling guards will move over.
Kane, and he ran straight into the back of number 82, Timo Tako, allowing Martin Tyson to come in for the Crusaders and make the stop.
If you can watch those pulling guards, watch number 69. He comes off of the right side of the ball, swings over to the left side. Almost every time these Roosters come up to the line, you watch that offensive line, they'll come off the left side, they'll go to the right side. They're clearing the lanes for those backs. But keep your eye on those offensive line players.
They're making some big holes in this defensive line of the Crusaders. As we see it shift to try and anticipate the rush by Harry Tooley. He's going right off tackle. Again, he's wrestled out of bounds, this time by Martin Tyson. But all the time, they're pushing the ball upfield. They're pushing the Crusaders back towards their end zone.
Well, they're following that number 69 again. Watch that big hunk of beef moving out front. Just get behind him. Everything will be safe for a little while. Here we go, another 6 yards. Thank you, pulling lineman.
And the ball on the 14-yard line now of the Crusaders. It's one thing pulling back 7 points against a team like the Helsinki Roosters, but when you've also got them on offense driving towards your end zone, then you've got problems. Jyrki Aholas, flags go down on the play. Looked like he was pointing back to Frank Piersma, number 54.
They're indicating, or the player's indicating, he may have a face mask on there. See if we can pick up the penalty as he cuts upfield. Do we see a hand out there grabbing him by the face mask? If so, yes, it's a definitely number 54. If the referee judges that to be on purpose, it's 15 yards. If he did it by accident, 5.
Frank Piersma caught red-handed there by our replay crew and also by the officials on the field. The ball on the 14-yard line. And there he is, the guilty man himself, Frank Piersma. When you face mask someone, you want to make sure you don't do it on camera.
You shouldn't do it at all. It's a rather dangerous play. Running backs definitely don't like it.
Well, the lines moved early. We'll have to see the referee's decision about who moved first.
I think you'll find it was the outside tight end on the Roosters. I don't know if he moved so much as it's been a long, hot afternoon. He may have just fallen forward out of heat. There he goes. Whew, it's a long day.
Kari Janhanen tumbling towards the Crystal Palace turf, but it'll be a penalty against the Roosters. So a bit of breathing space now for the Crusaders. The ball's been moved back to the 19-yard line. But as the Roosters break from their huddle with a 2nd and 9, you've got to know that their offensive options aren't used up yet. Mike Kane. Again, great blocking, opening up the holes, and he burst out of that tackle from Martin Tyson. Martin Tyson, number 69, got a hand to him, but Mike Kane's such a powerful runner, he just ripped his shirt out from his grasp.
I'm afraid you won't stop an All-American with an arm tackle, and that's what we're seeing. There's one arm, 54, had him, let him go, 99, just put an arm on him. He didn't make an All-American by falling down.
I beg Martin Tyson's pardon. It was Romeo Banderson who let Mike Kane go. With the ball moved out to about the 10-yard line now. And the officials with the measuring crew trying to see if it's good enough for a first down. Tension there on the Crusaders sideline as they're trying to see whether the defense has managed to halt this Roosters ground drive.
It's 3rd and very, very short, big play, but if anybody can make 1 yard when they have to, it's the Roosters.
Just inches for the Roosters to get the first down and keep the drive alive. Pitch out to Ari Tooley. But that ball has gone loose. Martin Tyson celebrating. It looks as though the Crusaders may have it. We'll see.
No, I think the referee overruled it. It was a fumble, but if in the referee's opinion, the knee was down or the play was stopped, we'll go back to it. Here we're picking it up. He comes through. He gets stopped at the line of scrimmage. He makes a great second effort. He goes forward. The referee, there his knee was down. The ball bounced out of his hands. Here we take it from a front view. Watch him to see if his knee was down first. He's still got a hand. His knee's down. Now the ball bounces out. The referee correctly judged it to have been down.
Now we see Mike Kane bulldozing towards the end zone. Ginger Ramsahai catches him and pushes him back, but that is too little too late as the Roosters make their way up to about a yard outside the end zone of the Crusaders.
Well, it's a great benefit between the game between Mike Kane and number 53 Ramsahai. They just meet each other constantly over and over and over. A great game played by two very fine athletes.
As you saw, Ramsahai wrestled Kane back away from the end zone, but of course the ball is taken from the furthest moment of Kane's forward momentum. 1 yard line now for the Roosters. They already lead by 7 points. Can they extend it here? It is Kane. He took the Roosters all the way upfield and now he takes them in.
It was again on a very great second effort. He was stopped about a yard out. Watch the line come around the side. Try and get a place for him. Stop, second effort in. Here we come again. Coming around the side. Watch the penetration. He stopped here. Leans forward. Drives into the end zone.
And after he got the first block, he had all the room in the world. That's such great blocking by the offensive line of the Roosters. Tapio makes the extra point. Good.
That referee's call on the fumble could be crucial to the chances of the Amsterdam team. The difference between being 2 touchdowns down with a few minutes to go or to having the ball with the same amount of time to go and 1 touchdown is very, very crucial. They are now 2 down. It's a difference of 7 points. That's what it would have been if Romeo Banderson could have kept the fumble, but the officials ruled he didn't. 3:33 minutes left in the game, and the Amsterdam Crusaders trail by 14 points. We've seen some spectacular comeback from this team, but this really would be a miracle if they can come back now. Well, I think
Kane, number 9.
We're going back to watch this fumble. As we pick him up, coming through the line, it's if, in the referee's opinion, the man is down and stopped. Does his knee go down? Yes, I think it does. The ball then popped out. The referees were right. It's a blow to the Dutch. but it's referees right on the spot doing their job.
No recovery for Romeo Banderson. Number 9, Kane, carried 21 times for 189 yards and 3 touchdowns so far today. The longest has been 52 yards. And that is Kim Tanglisson. As a flag goes down on the play, he's made it out to the 32-yard line. We'll wait to see what the penalty is on that.
Usually when you get a flag on a kickoff team, it's because you're not allowed to block. When you receive the ball, you're not allowed to block below the waist, so as not to incur injuries. It's the only time when you're only allowed to block above the waist. It's probably going to be a penalty against the offensive team.
Holding. On the red, on the return.
A call
First down.
against the Amsterdam Crusaders. They were penalized for holding on the return. They'll start the drive 10 yards further back from Kim Tanglisson's return point. It'll be the 22-yard line, 1st and 10 for the Crusaders. Troth needing to score quickly. He goes for the pass, but suddenly it's all going wrong for the Crusaders, intended for Rob Kimman.
Well, we had a view there of a Dutch bench looking a bit despondent. The very plays that worked for them against everybody else, throwing deep to the sidelines, 15 and 20-yard patterns, has not worked as well against a well-briefed and very talented Helsinki Roosters squad. We're going to have to see Holland throwing the ball almost all the time. They'll only do the occasional running play to keep it honest.
Well, the Roosters got a 2nd and 10. They're 14 points behind. They need long passes. I think we may be seeing Mark Schrader coming in here soon. Troth back for a long pass. And that hit by Bill Jackwish in number 40 came a little late.
Well, he's enjoying that hit. I don't think it happened before them, though. As it came up, it looked to be a screen. He threw, the blockers were lining up. He lobbed the ball gently in there. Boom, number 80 just laid the hit on him.
And Troth there with Ari Kalto in his face, which can't have helped his composure as he tried to find the receiver.
It was a screen. You could tell by the depth of the quarterback. He went back almost 15 yards, but the play broke down.
3rd and 10 now for the Crusaders, and they need to keep the drive alive on this play. There's the long bomb. It's De Schrater. He's a clutch receiver, but number 55, Temo Tako, covered him all the way on that play. Incompletion for the Crusaders.
Well, there's just no way of penetrating this very, very good coverage that Helsinki's put up. They've done their homework. They've done their scouting reports. They've covered everything that Amsterdam's been able to throw at them so far, and you really have to congratulate the Rooster defense. Everybody talks about their offense, but they have done a very good job of shutting down Paul Troth.
Indeed, it was the job that the defense did on the highly potent offense of the Milan Frogs in the semi-final that was one of the major factors in getting the Roosters here to this final. A final which they're leading by 14 points with just 3 minutes 11 seconds remaining. There you see number 56, Theo Webster, on an unhappy Amsterdam sideline. It's been a fairy tale road to the Eurobowl final for them. They weren't expected to beat the British champions, the London Ravens, in the first round, but they did it. They scored a magical come-from-behind win against the Berlin Eagles. It seemed they were the fairy tale team, the Cinderella team, if you like, of the final, but it seems as though that story has come to an end, and it's going to be the Roosters who live happy ever after. Fourth and 10 now on the 22-yard line.
Well, they're gambling for the lot because they've got to get down. They've got to get 10 yards ahead. Doesn't do them to give up the ball. 4th and 10 from deep in their own territory. Receivers have got to get 10 yards, and instead, while waiting for him, he got the first sack of the game. I think that is indicative of the game.
Tim Otako, number 55 for the Helsinki Roosters, and he might have just put Helsinki's name on the Eurobowl trophy.
Watch it, he's going back, he's dropping back almost 10 yards, looking, nowhere to go. Number 55 does exactly what a quarterback doesn't want to happen. Comes up from his blind side, Paul doesn't see him moving, he's looking downfield, and boom, there he was.
Paul was busy eyeing Mark Schrader, the clutch receiver who'd got open downfield. Tim Otako wasted no time in taking advantage of that to record a sack. Martin Tyson, number 69, combining with number 51, Jacko Dix, to make the stop on Jussi Rantala, as the Roosters have a first down with about 3 minutes left in the game.
Well, they're on the second down now, but the difficulty was that they had to take that gamble from the Dutch side. That gamble that didn't pay off has put the Roosters on their own 14-yard line. Amsterdam's up against it once again.
2nd and 12. Jyrki Ahola slips on the 15-yard line. Well, it's 2nd down and 12. That was the play. You saw Jyrki Ahola looking as though he was going to make a big game.
Watch those pulling linemen. Here they come again around the outside. Number 50 lays on a good block. Unfortunately, his back had gone down behind him. Those pulling linemen are making all of the difference in today's game.
And that would have been a big game, but the Crystal Palace turf got to Jyrki Ahola, even if the Crusaders couldn't. 3rd and 12. With a handoff to Thule. Again, it's run right off tackle.
I think you'll see that looked pretty much like the play we just saw, only this time the back continued on. He's down to about a 5-yard gain. I think we're going into 4th and 5.
Ginger Ramsahai, the familiar name cropping up on that stop.
Here he is, just turning the corner, coming inside the outside man, number 31. 31, they spun him around. He showed his back to the running back. You can't attack anybody with your back.
Well, number 31, Ricardo Zimmerman, had 2 game-breaking punt blocks in the quarter and semi-finals, but that time he was left cold. It's the 8-yard line. It's the Helsinki Roosters on offense, and it's 4th and about 6. As Mike Kane goes in. 4th down, and he converts it into a touchdown.
Well, if we've seen him do it once, we've seen him do it a number of times. Instead of going outside, he stays inside just slightly, cuts across scrimmage, incisive running by Kane. Here he comes again. Instead of going outside, he plants his right foot, cuts up inside the outside people. Number 31 makes a despairing grab, and Mike Kane's in there. Here we go. Everybody going outside. He cuts inside that last man. 2 red jerseys on the outside of him.
Well, that's touchdown number 4 for Mike Kane as they take the extra point, and it is good. But there's a flag on the play. There's a yellow flag down on the play as the officials discuss who's the penalty against.
Well, we're seeing in this game exactly what I was afraid of in the early part, where the Helsinki ground game has finally worn down an incredibly brave Dutch team. But they've taken it to them. The Helsinki team has done everything and more that was expected of them.
The penalty was against the defense. The Roosters decline. The penalty will be taken on the kickoff. The score is 35-14.
We see some heads down here on the Dutch bench. We see some smiling coaches. Here's this play again, coming along. Pitch on the outside. He looks outside. There's no room. He's following number 65 on the inside. 2 jerseys. Number 31 on the outside. Somebody has to follow the cutback. You can't everybody go after the ball carrier. Somebody's got to stay at home.
14:35 here towards the close of the 4th quarter, and that's the effect it's having on the Dutch bench. There you saw Rob Kimman. He's a wide receiver, number 8, but he's missed a lot of his receptions today. Well, the kick goes into the end zone. It'll be touched back. Smiles on the faces of the Helsinki players, but of course the end of a dream for the Crusaders.
At best, we've seen a game where it's raised the standards of European football yet again. It's also showed what you can do without a passing game. This is the team that has passed 2 times in the entire game and have racked up 35 points against a very good Dutch defense.
Johnny Johnson, the assistant coach, likens them to Oklahoma, the college team in the States, because they rely so much upon a ground attack. And Oklahoma certainly have been able to mark their prowess all over the college divisions of the states, winning a national championship.
I think we're seeing something that shows how Paul Troth is trying to help the Dutch squad. They've replaced and they've got the Dutch quarterback on the field for the first time today to give him a little big game experience, which will stand him in good stead later on when he starts making his own career.
That was Derek Horvers. He handed off to Henry Castillion, and the stop was made by Kai Oi. 2nd and 7 now at the end, the dying minutes of the fourth quarter. Horvers steps back for his first pass. It is good. Raymond Van Gerhardt, the tight end, catching the ball on the 30-yard line. And that'll be good enough for a first down. Kai Oi, the strong safety, coming in on the stop.
As he takes the several step back, 1, 2, 3 steps, holds the ball, looks to his receiver, releases. Completed pass to his tight end. 100% passing completion ratio.
Well, the ball just past the 30-yard line. It's a 1st and 10 for the Crusaders. But with a 21-point deficit, it does look as though the Crusaders' achievement ends here. They've won a lot of respect and a lot of fans here in the Eurobowl tournament for their spirit and drive and commitment, and above all-round niceness. They've been tremendously good-natured. They've been friendly to everybody, and they've never given up hope.
Well, I think hope is kind of out of the way just now. It's got 3 touchdowns behind. There's down to 1 minute and 11 seconds. They're playing now for the experience to give some of their new players a big game flavor.
1st and 10. Derek Horvers takes a snap. He's one of the best Dutch quarterbacks in Dutch football. As Henry Castillion is not happy. The flag goes down at about the 30-yard line. Henry Castillion still standing there on the sideline in disbelief. It looks as though the penalty may have been called against the Crusaders, and he's unhappy because he thinks the Crusaders should have been awarded that.
Well, if you watch it, when it comes up here, the referee blows the flag. Number 33 comes up the field. The flag goes down back at the line of scrimmage and late.
Well, a minute to go in the game.
Against the offense, 5-yard penalty.
Called against the offense. They lose 5 yards on the play. 1st and 15 with a ball on the 30-yard line. There you see Tristan Runde going in motion for the Crusaders. And Horvers back to pass. Intended for Delano Van Gyn, who was on the 45-yard line, but it's incomplete. Cornerback Ilka Hipponen, number 45 of the Roosters, in on tight coverage there for the Roosters.
As this new quarterback drops back, he looks to the right, drops his left hand to throw the long pass, just overthrowing slightly his man on the right-hand side. He's got quite a good arm. We can expect a lot from this man in the future.
As we say, he's one of the leading Dutch quarterbacks, but because Troth is such an experienced play caller, he goes in as backup to number 15, Paul Troth. But he's a good thrower in his own right. Ball on the 25-yard line, 2nd and 15. Well, there you saw the pass rush.
I think you'll see that was a screen. The play was set up that way with the quarterback dropping back, allowing the defensive line to think he was in trouble, lobbing a pass over their head to his intended receiver. Unfortunately, as before, here we are, the quarterback dropping back, letting the defense think he's in trouble. A short pass should find a lot of red jerseys up there, but the receiver got in front of his line. He must stay behind the line so he can catch the ball and have blockers in front of him.
Right. He kept his control on the ball, getting it to Rufus Van Gogh before the stop was made by Kai Oi. Now we see him throw again, but it's dumped off to the sidelines. Coverage a little too much for Derek Horvers there. Well, it'll be 4th down with 1 second left in the game. And you start to hear the celebrations from the Roosters sideline They know they've got this final sewn up. They are going to be the champions of European American football. 4th and 10 with a second to go. And there it goes. That's what they call the Hail Mary. There's a flag down on the play, but it's all over for the Crusaders.
Well, you've got nothing to lose by throwing the ball up in the air like that, only because if nothing else, you might get a penalty, which is exactly what they got. You throw the ball off, everybody meets in the middle of the field, and you hope the referee sees the other guy hit you first.
First down. Well, it's a defensive penalty, and the rules state that you cannot end the game on a defensive penalty. So the Crusaders are awarded a first down at the 45-yard line. The call was interference against the receiver there on the play.
I think you'll find that that 1 second that you referred to is up on the scoreboard, but the clock is kept on in the field by the referee, and that pass and penalty would have stopped the clock. I think lay now.
Well, as we say, it cannot end on a defensive penalty. The Dutch have one more chance, and there goes the ball. Winston Ronde, but it's not going to be. Winston Ronde hitting the ground. He had Ranelak's all over him. That's the end of it. The Roosters have won it. The Roosters from Helsinki are the Dutch champions. Now we go over to Simon Reed. He's on the sidelines for an interview with the winning team.
Get the coaches. And with me is Mike Kane, who's been named man of the match. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. You know, it was tough. You know, they were playing real good in the first half, and we couldn't get a drive going like we, you know, in the other 2 games we were able to control the ball and get, you know, long drives to eat up the clock. In that first half, boy, it was tough for us. But, you know, Coach Don and Chad, they did a good job at halftime, made some changes for us, and it, you know, worked out just right.
You must be very pleased you made the decision to go to Finland.
Oh, yeah. You know, I just wanted to play some more football, you know. I really enjoyed the game, you know, and I thank the coaches that they gave me a chance to go over and play, you know.
And your defense played well.
Oh, I think they kept us in the game, you know, because the offense struggled so much. It was them that I think won the game for us today.
You look pretty calm, but beneath that, are you emotional to have won the Eurobowl?
Oh, yeah, you know, it's an emotional time, you know. I'm happy.
Is going to be a celebration tonight, Mike?
Probably. I'm sure there will be. I don't know what we're doing yet, but I'm sure there will be.
Right, thanks very much.
The roar of the crowd as the Finns hold the helmet aloft. The Eurobowl is theirs, and so are the celebrations.
Well, I think the semi-final against Milan, which Helsinki just won, was the key. It was a magnificent game, but they just scraped home. And ultimately, they came here to play the Amsterdam Crusaders. They looked as if they might be in trouble early on, but they broke through magnificently and won by 35 points to 14, the second successive time a Finnish team have won the Eurobowl. And it shows, too, that American football can be played in Europe as well. From Crystal Palace, goodbye.
cover story reveals the private life of international...